think obviously we're all in the broadband and technology space. There's a lot. I mean, I think Brian mentioned earlier, Jeff mentioned, obviously fiber is fiber. Like there's really no comparison of what you can deliver with fiber versus other technologies. But that being said, there's Starlink from, Elon Musk, there's Airband, there's Terragraph from Facebook. There's all these new technologies that are basically looking and building solutions that yes, they have to have the infrastructure, but they are changing the model of delivering broadband in rural and especially in urban areas. So how do these new technologies change the open access model, or does it?
It's all the above. When you get to rural, it's whatever works, right? I have this quip where, broadband is broken in the cities, it's broken in suburbia, right? It's not broken in rural, it's never been fixed, right? Rural telephony never worked. It was subsidized. So why do you think broadband's gonna work? I mean, really, so rural is a special case, especially like rural, right? I don't know if anyone can solve that. So it's whatever works, whether you want to float blimps over there or balloons or the satellite stuff, great. But at the end of the day, it's fiber to some antenna, right? It's going to be, that antenna could be a Wi-Fi router, or it could be a 5G tower or 6G, in 20 years, or it could be some fixed wireless for that farm down the way. So it's whatever works once you get further and further away from even little towns. Right, so all the technology is great. The more, the merrier.
There's a lot of misinformation on what Elon Musk is doing, but if you read what they're saying, so I read a report last week that was information from the company, and they mentioned 32 milliseconds of latency. And so to me, and they even say in there, it's a solution for unserved and underserved areas. So, they did in one test, they got up to 100 megabits, but the sampling of what they're getting is in the 16 to 40 megabits per second. So, I think it's a fantastic, I'm working with a county in Arizona, and parts of that county are so rural. I told the county, you guys should be looking at what Elon Musk is doing. It's not a solution for Maricopa County in Phoenix, but it may be a fantastic solution for people that are 200 miles from Phoenix.
I guess I'm just wondering, does it make from a financial model perspective, again, if you use, Wi-Fi 6, you use, and obviously, let's put aside the Starlink stuff, but like more here, or even again, the Terragraph stuff that's using wireless or even local WISPs, there is a way, it's the avoiding of the ripping up a street and putting in fiber, right? Like it is changing the dynamic of that. Now, obviously you have to have backhaul, like you can't get the speed unless you have the backhaul. But from a financial model, does it make it more appealing to someone to invest in an open access if a part of that network can be wireless?
Think about what you're investing. Sorry, Jeff. What are they investing in? Right? They're not investing in. They're investing in an asset, right? And so that's why I like dark fiber versus lit fiber. Both have a role, and you can do both simultaneously. But investors, they want to know what they're investing in, right? So dark fiber is very akin to a real estate investment trust. It really is just a dark fiber. It's you can legally treat it as a real estate. So now the risk profile, another buzzword, is better understood. And so, they're investing in a network. They're not, they're investing in a company that offers open access. That's a different level of investment, right? That's not an infrastructure investment. We haven't really talked about that. It's important what you call this. If you call it broadband or you call it internet access, that's one thing. But at the end of the day, it's infrastructure. And I tell cities all over, just if you don't call me ever again, use the word infrastructure. Never use the word broadband again.
So we're saying open access has done a poor job of marketing, is what you're saying.
Just
saying, like, right? I mean, it's like a lot of things. If
infrastructure.
Everyone uses the term, you're right, for different things. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of middle miles open access.
Yeah, I mean, Open access is the biggest nightmare for the incumbent. The model they least want to see deployed because it will commoditize what they do. And
Hence, they're not participating in these examples we've been talking about.
they're not participating because they don't want to see it happen. And what we haven't talked about, so when we talk about exposing the service provider to competition and innovation as our definition of open access, what happens when you expose? So the ISP up until now has been insulated from innovation. Verizon, AT&T, all of these guys, there's no outside threat of innovation because they control the infrastructure. So when you expose the service provider to innovation, what is it about the ISP that can't be automated? I mean, let's think about what they do. They give you backhaul. So that's really partnering generally, or it's their backhaul. They give you an IP address. Right now they take care of infrastructure, but if you pull the infrastructure away from them, they may do customer service, but what we're finding out in Ammon is it's basically a lights out operation for the ISP. And so the question is, when you expose the ISP to innovation, what's going to happen? And I think we're going to get an answer to that question over the next 2 years. And I think you're going to see, because of these automation technologies, you're going to see a rethinking and a redefinition of the role of an ISP and the way they play in the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think that you're right, Jeff. The commodity, no ISP wants to see the commoditization of what they do. I mean, it takes the margin out of it for them, and then they have to compete on a different level, and they have to find new ways to differentiate their product suite. I've worked with a number of communities, and they're perfectly fine working with local ISPs in an open access model, but they've put RFPs out because they wanted to pursue an open access model, and they did a national search for those ISPs. And when they looked at the list of ISPs who are available, and Jeff, certainly, you look at the model out at Utopia, and you've never heard of some of these ISPs. For a municipality that's concerned about quality of service and what is the public's impression of broadband and infrastructure versus broadband versus content, they don't want to have to worry about, oh, well, I'm paying $22 a month, but now I'm getting crappy service. So I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to talk to I'm going to call my town council person, or I'm going to call the mayor and complain about this service provider. And they kind of don't want that headache. So they want the process to be seamless. So a lot of what I've seen is they'll put one service provider in as a primary service provider to at least launch the service. And but the understanding is after 18 months, they will open the network up to additional service providers if service providers are interested in coming on the network. So it's a bit of that governance challenge as well, and certainly no municipality. My pup just joined me. No municipality wants to get a black eye with their broadband project, because the public, when a municipality or a county does a broadband project, the general public has a hard time, I believe, comprehending the difference between infrastructure and service provider content and services.